Hello and welcome to our second to last online lecture for the macro practice class. Hope you guys are all doing well. I miss you. I miss having class. Hopefully you're still staying healthy. So what we are going to talk about today, we are going to talk about community organizing in the context of publicity, media, public relations, and communication. So let's talk about the importance of communication. Why is it crucial for social change to raise awareness of your actions? Why do you need people to know what you're doing in order for change to happen? It's for a few reasons. Communication, it helps you to build relationships. And when we talk about raising awareness, it means making sure that people know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what your goals are. So it helps you to build relationships. It helps you make your efforts known so you can get more assistance and more resources to help sort of fund your purpose. You have to make sure people know that you even exist in the first place. Generating interest can overcome the inertia of inaction, or it can overcome complacency. So the theory is that once people are made aware of a problem and made aware that there is a solution in the works, ethically the onus falls on them to be a part of positive change. It can expose the existence of issues, so that overcomes both willful and passive ignorance. People can't claim that they don't know something if you've gone out of your way to let them know about it. So it overcomes people who are going out of their way to not know what's going on. It also overcomes people who are just living their lives with their heads in the sand and just genuinely have no idea what's happening. It provides people with information and education that leads to action. It can attract new support and attention, strengthening the existing relationships and affiliations, and it can improve and establish your credibility. There's a few targets of your communication. So you have your supporters. Those can be your active supporters, the people that are already on board with your mission and that want to be a part of change. And also general and passive people who probably agree with what you're doing, people who would like to see change happen, but up until now haven't really been an active part of it happening. Your target and response community, and the general public. So it makes me think about for targets of communication. Every morning, generally around 11 to 11:30 a.m., Governor Cuomo comes on the television to talk about what's happening in the state of New York in relation to the current crisis. So you have general supporters of the governor. So what is his purpose? His purpose, what he wants people to know, is what the numbers are in the state of New York, what the numbers are in different parts of the state, what numbers are related to infections, to hospitalizations, to critical care, to deaths, to resource availability, and to give moral support. So he basically is there to give information and to sort of lend a voice of reason and to just lend a voice of strength. So he has supporters who genuinely like him, people who will support him as a politician. There's a general or passive supporters, the people that want things to get better in the state, but either may not like him politically or personally, or who may not have an opinion, but I think everybody wants the state to get better. The target response community, you would think it's just the people in New York State, but actually he's being watched by people throughout the nation, in Canada and over in Europe now. And again, the general public. So that's who those press conferences every day are meant to speak to. So communication has what's called the 3 M's. The 3 M's of communication are the market, meaning who you're trying to reach, the medium, how you're trying to reach them, and the message, what are you going to tell them to get the response that you're looking for? You see that in advertising, right? So when you look at a car dealership, they have a market they're trying to reach out to. If it's an economy car, they're reaching out to a market that may not have the highest socioeconomic status, whereas your Lexus and Mercedes dealers are going to target a wealthier group of individuals. The medium, how you're going to reach them. Well, if you are trying to reach, a younger demographic, you're probably going to advertise on different social media platforms. Whereas, and this is not stereotyping, it's just the way it is, if you're trying to reach an older demographic, you may use print newspapers. And then what are you going to tell them to elicit the desired response? What is your market? What is your market going to want to see your product or service advertised as to make them want to be a part of your customer base? So market, medium, and message. There's a lot of communication techniques, right? So you have word of mouth. You support something and you tell a friend of yours that this is great. So then that friend goes and supports a cause or purchases a product. You have meetings. You have newsletters, brochures, flyers, position papers, and white papers, which are more for institutional work. You have speakers bureaus, posters, billboards, again, printed newspapers. You have e-bulletin boards and message boards, forums. You have PSAs, public service announcements, which I know have kind of gone the way of the dodo as of the 1990s, but there's still some of them out there. Every time you see those horrible PSAs about smokers where they take some esophagus and squeeze yellow gunk out of it, those are awful. I hate them, but those are PSAs. They could be print, they could be television, they can be radio. So radio is another medium. Is it going to be public radio? Is it going to be local broadcast radio? Is it going to be internet radio? Is it going to be satellite radio? And then coordination with the local news media if you're having an event. So in order to use the news media, you need to build relationships first. So if you look at most political press conferences, usually whichever politician is speaking knows who the media are. They know who the reporters are. They know generally what media outlet they're with. They generally know the leading of the media outlet. So in cases like Governor Cuomo, he will usually call them by their first name. He knows who they're with. If you watch the presidential press conferences, which are most evenings between 5 and 6 p.m., generally the president will not necessarily know what their names are, but he will know what outlets they're with. He will know whether that outlet is or is not favorable to them, and he will already know how or if he's going to answer the question and whether or not he's going to try to humiliate that reporter. So that's how that works. You build relationships, whether they're positive or negative. You have to welcome interviews and be prepared for them. Provide good, relevant, and accurate information. Don't be part of the fake news. You have to have a timeline for contact. So if you are putting on an event, say a fundraiser, you don't want to contact the media a week before and say, hey, can you cover my event? Deadlines have already way passed for that. So you would need to make a contact months ahead. Hey, this is going on. Can I tell you more about it? Make it an appealing story. Put a human spin on it. Send press releases 1 month ahead, then a couple weeks ahead. Put together news conferences. Try to get reporters to cover your event. You can write editorials for a paper. You can write letters to the editor. And always be aware of deadlines. Many times, if you form a relationship with the media, they may say, I can write a story on this, but my deadline is Friday at 4 o'clock. Those deadlines are pretty hard and fast. Deadlines are a major issue in the media. If they say my deadline is Friday at 4 o'clock, don't send it to them Friday at 4:01. Send it before the deadline so you are not making their lives harder than they have to be. So back in the day, people advertised again through posters, through flyers, through brochures, and through printed newspapers. Times have changed a lot. Apart from the time that Dr. Vigiani brought a newspaper into our faculty meeting, I cannot remember the last time I saw a printed newspaper. So the big thing now is electronic organizing, e-organizing, and that's having an online presence and online activity. So there's some new opportunities, speaking of a SWOT analysis, there are new opportunities and there are new threats. You have the issue of attention span. People's attention span has gotten smaller and smaller as they get the instant gratification of information. Generally, you want to capture attention in the very first paragraph of whatever it is that you're trying to say, or with graphics, or something that grabs the attention and holds it. There's digital inequity, the issue of technological injustice, which you may be experiencing right now as you're forced to complete your baccalaureate education from home. We're making the assumption that you have adequate internet, that you have access to Wi-Fi or access to hotspots or the bandwidth that you need in order to watch this video. So what happens if you put all of your message online? You are eliminating people who may not access technology at all because of a generational difference, cultural differences. You may be making worse an inequity of people that don't have access to the internet because of poverty or some other issues. It used to be if kids didn't have internet at home, they could go to the library. Well, with what's happening right now, most libraries are closed. So that access to the internet is gone for many. You also have the issue of extremists and conspiracy theorists. The online community isn't overly discriminating. Just about anybody is allowed to have a voice, which is one of the reasons why we say Wikipedia is not an accurate source to use when you're referencing things, because you can go on to any Wikipedia entry and make changes to it and say, oh, well, this is the truth. And it could be something you know nothing about. So again, this has given voice to a lot of extremists like Alex Jones, which has been very damaging to a lot of the ethos of this nation. It's changed the way people, groups, organizations, and communities communicate. Think about the difference between having to, at field, call your supervisor on the phone versus being able to send them an email, or calling on the phone versus sending a text message. There's a lot of tools in this medium. You have websites. Websites should be user-friendly. They should be attractive. They should be streamlined and well organized. You have email. You have mailing lists, listservs, and message boards. You get stuff from the social work listserv from Judy all the time, and I know it annoys you, and I'm sorry. You have social media with any number of platforms, right? So you have YouTube, which is where you're watching this video right now. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Snapchat, you have TikTok, and any number of other social media apps that I have no idea what they are, and I have no desire to know what they are. But they are all used for the purposes of communicating information. Text messaging, instant messages, social media chats, DMs, blogs, file sharing, like on Google. You have surveys through things like SurveyMonkey and Qualtrics. You have meeting coordination. You have conferencing. You have video conferencing, like with Zoom, which has become a very big deal these days, as we have our weekly faculty meetings every week on Zoom. You have webinars. You have podcasts. If you're a member of the NASW, you can currently get all of your CEUs that you need to maintain your licensure just via webinars through NASW. And that's something new. It used to be you had to go to trainings and conferences to get all those CEUs to maintain your license. Not anymore. So in social media, for news, you have things like Dig, Reddit. Reddit is kind of a cesspool, but it's there. Newsvine, you have different network social media pages. On sharing, you have Instagram, Flickr, Vine, Snapfish, YouTube, TikTok. Social bookmarking, you have Delicious, Stumbled Upon, Blogmarks, Foursquare. And in social networks, you have Facebook, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, and any number of other platforms. And many companies and many nonprofits are choosing to have a presence on every single one of these platforms to try to get as many users as possible. Media has its strengths and it has its weaknesses, right? The problem with most media sources is that they are biased. So you have to take that in mind when you're reading what a news source is saying. What is their leaning? What is the lens through which they're viewing this? Are they going in with a bias towards what's being said? Are they going in already having their own theories about what's going on? And is that reflected in what they're reporting? Are they reporting facts or are they reporting opinions? There has to be a certain level of accountability for message, reaction, and representation. And it's very easy for the media, and this is via social media, via television, what have you, to manipulate the emotions and the viewpoints of its viewers and subscribers. So if you go into the PowerPoint that accompanies this, you'll see a number of videos that I've posted for you. And those are different YouTube videos of the same basic political or social issue being portrayed by different sides of the coin. So I want you to look at those. And then the slide after that, there's a number of, in the local news, there's a number of Facebook posts by the Democrat and Chronicle. And I want you to look at those and just kind of take a look at what people in this community right here are saying about some important social issues. So if you had been in the classroom, what I would have done was the activity I did last year, which was super fun. And what we did as a class was we actually took on an issue, a social problem or a social issue, and we defined what it was, and we actually created multiple social media accounts. So we had a Twitter account, a Facebook page, and an Instagram account. And I'll see if I can find you the links to that. So what we would talk about is, if you as an organization or as a cause, if you have a social media page, what should that page or account look like to best represent what you're trying to do and say, and to best fulfill your goals? So I want you to think about, depending on what social issues are near and dear to your heart, what kind of followers are you trying to attract? You would also want to follow other pages, right? You want to follow different celebrities, well-known people, probably politicians, causes, organizations. What do the people and pages that you follow say about your organization and cause? I would really like you, and I can't force you to do this, but I want you to, even in the light of what's going on in the world right now, just take a look around social media. Go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, what have you. Look at the different hashtags and look at what people with clearly different views are saying about the same issues depending on their bias. And if they're organizations or if they're people with a cause, what are they trying to say and how is that message being portrayed? Because the message that your organization puts out can be one of the biggest predictors of how effective you're going to be. So that is all I have for you this week. Again, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying sane. Social distancing, washing your hands. I will see you soon. Bye.